members of the board chose to attack me while I was not present to defend myself. They referenced a legal investigation. Members have asked and are due an explanation, so here it is. There was an HR grievance filed about an interaction I had with an employee in the presence of both the HR manager and their interim supervisor. It was totally within the employee's right to do so. However, attempting to take action in public before the findings were published was inappropriate. I had welcomed an independent HR specialist lawyer to conduct a review of the facts for transparency. They have completed their inquiry and concluded I did not discriminate or harass the employee. I did not violate any employment requirements, and I did not retaliate against the employee for the grievance submitted. I have been totally exonerated for any wrongdoing. Those are the facts, and I will make no further comment. All right. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Tappy and her volunteers for the election. They are volunteers. It is our election, but it is run like any other public election with elected officials. So Tappy, I want to say thank you to you and your folks. Appreciate the job. And I also want to cover some of the measures we have taken to make sure there's integrity in the elections, not just for Tappy, but you may not know we have a canvassing committee made up of 3 members, Director Miller, myself, and our legal counsel. So what happened on Wednesday, we reviewed the proxy ballots and the absentee ballots to make sure that they were legitimate and had to prioritize whether if there was a question that came to the canvassing board for any questions. Just like today, they came to the canvassing board if there was a discrepancy between address, names, and that sort of thing. So the canvassing committee did their due diligence there. And then most importantly, for the proxies and absentee, so if you asked for a proxy ballot and it was sent to your residence of service, that's where it went. And they were tracked and serialized so nobody could duplicate, couldn't get an absentee ballot and a proxy, although we had some people come up and confused. They asked for a proxy ballot, it was sent to their home, they come up to the drive-up window and now they want a absentee ballot, and we asked them to swap out. There's all tracked, they're all serial numbers, so we ensured that they're only members voted, because we actually did have somebody from Navarre Beach ask for a proxy ballot. Okay? And any other comments from any other the board members about the election? All right, now at some point we have to take count, so who's good at counting, Emerald? Can you start counting for who number of members present?
Back there. Oh, you're talking about the number of members?
Number of members present.
Okay.
It is members only.
Members only?
Members only.
Members only.
Please show of
If you
hands.
show up hands if you are a member. I would have said north, isn't it? Okay, well, that meets the minimum of a 10. All right, and I'm just gonna confirm there was proof of public notice was published, Ms. Emerald?
There's actually 40, I apologize, I didn't count the staff.
Okay. We're gonna add Phil and Clinton.
That's included in the 40.
Okay, 40 total. Just gonna confirm proof of, in your packets, members, or, sorry, directors, there's proof of the public notice of publish and where we published it?
Yeah, 6.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay, financial and audits update. So the December financials and the 2022 year-to-date unaudited financials will be presented at the February board meeting. 2022 annual audit is underway and expected to be completed and presented to the board during the April 2023 meeting. After that, the board will discuss the forensic audit after the normal audit is completed. And the completed 2021 audit is available for members upon request.
When is the expected completion date of the audit? It says it's going to be presented.
Presented to the board in March, so I think that was last year it was in March they completed it.
Okay, so we can begin the forensic audit.
As soon
Once
as,
they're done working on site, we can begin the forensic audit.
once they are done with their, yes, that is true statement.
Okay.
And I can ask the CPA when they expect to do that, but I think it's the end of February or early March.
Because if we're gonna go down that road, I wanna have that ready to start as soon as they're done doing their work on site.
Okay. All right, has any member that wants to address the board already signed in? It-
Member form is.
No, I know. I just want to make sure while we're waiting for the counts. I'm stalling. Okay. At this time, we're kind of waiting on the election results.
Can we set our board reorganization meeting date and time?
I think we need to find out who's on there for conflict of.
Okay.
You might as well go ahead, Ms. Carmen. We're kind of waiting for the results, so
Okay.
is this, you want to talk now?
Yes.
Any
Carmen
directors don't have an issue, right? Go ahead.
Carmen Reynolds, Navarre, Florida, involved with budget. Just a couple questions for clarification. At the budget meeting, you discussed some items. We didn't get any handouts, so we don't have anything to reference. But you talked about needing to purchase 15 vehicles in the upcoming year. Could you be specific about the average cost per vehicle so that we know?
I don't know that answer because some are utility vehicles, other. We're actually gonna review how we do that and what the length. We had discussions about what the length of time, because there's no board policy on exactly when to do that, if you remember some of the board discussions on that. So I don't know that the board has made a final decision on there. Some of those mileages are 150,000, so it's actually really needs to look at the service of them, the maintenance schedule of them. Are they still, you could be 150,000 and still be good running for another 10 years. So I don't know that the board is that. That was kind of the staff's request.
And could you comment on this $76,000 truck that we're hearing about that's already been purchased and what its function is, please? Okay, that didn't register. Okay.
There was a replacement truck for Messi, and that was a replacement, and most of that cost was from insurance.
Did we buy that or did they?
Messi buys that. That's not Holly Navarre Water Funds.
Yes, you guys are. Okay, the last question I have is about the production company from Fort Walton Beach that obviously captures these board meetings and things. The contract is almost $8,000 a year. Will that continue once you all
Our
go back to
our
the
staff,
board?
I don't know what it's our staff that captures this. We don't do a production company.
But yet it's billed to TMS, I believe, production company at about $1,700 annually. And when I looked it up, it said that it's to cover these meetings.
Let me do the research and get that to you. But our staff are the ones, our IT staff, the 3 folks we have, are the ones that capture this and put it on and
Well,
edit.
that was my question about the duplication. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Emerald, make sure I have that as attachment. Yes.
Wes Eiler, Valley Coast of Beer Day, Mr. Campbell, you talked about election integrity. Are we gonna get a breakdown here in a minute of the types of votes? Because you mentioned that being confusing to people. I spoke with just a couple just now. It's their first time being at a meeting, first time voting. You mentioned people confused between absentee and proxy and how that works. Is that gonna be part of this readout that we get?
This is just gonna be the votes, but I can tell you, we had 91 proxies
Okay.
and 114 absentee ballots. I don't think
Okay.
that's any secret.
Okay, so you've got the number of those, and for people that don't know, a proxy is different than an absentee. An absentee is where you say, I can't make this meeting, I can't vote on the day of, so I give my ballot ahead of time. And people do that in the county elections, and Ms. Taffy knows that because she works those. The proxy thing, you don't have in a county election. In fact, proxy is where you say, hey, I don't know who to vote for, I'm going to give my vote to somebody else. And this has been a problem in the state of Florida. It's led to people serving prison time because it opens itself to all kinds of potential corruption because someone can go around, convince a bunch of people to give up their vote, and now they have those votes for sale. It can lead people to say, hey, I want you to give up your vote so that you get benefits. Or I want you to give up your vote, otherwise you're gonna face discrimination or reciprocity from this. You're gonna get punishment from this potentially. And so when people are giving up their vote, it's something that people don't understand. There's a reason you're having confusion with this process because it's not normal. You guys, every one of you guys have talked about making this system better since Dallas PV. You've talked about making it more transparent. We may disagree on sunshine law. I think it should be under sunshine law. Some of you guys think it shouldn't, but we all agree it can be better. An easy way to make this better is to make this election fair and to make it look more like the county. You guys can end proxy voting tonight. And I talked about this with Mark last meeting, and he said, I'd love to help you. I don't want to defend proxy voting. It doesn't look good, people giving up their votes, but it's in the bylaws. It's in the bylaws. Sorry, can't help you, it's in the bylaws. I took a look at the bylaws after Mark talked about this. It says, from your bylaws, right here, these bylaws may be repealed or amended by a vote of a majority of the members present at any regular meeting of the corporation. We are having a regular meeting. So my challenge to you guys, if you want this to be more transparent, you want this to be a cleaner system, end proxy voting tonight, and then you won't have this problem.
Wes,
So,
can I?
you go ahead.
Okay. I'm with you. I want us to get rid of proxy voting. We do today a lot better than we did in the past. In the past, they would mail out proxies to every member that we had. Now you do have to call and request one. The section in the bylaws, I liked that when I read it myself, because it seems to say that we can amend the bylaws with just a simple majority vote here tonight. But the problem is you have to read the Articles of Incorporation. And the Articles of Incorporation trump the bylaws. And they say the only way you can change the bylaws or the Articles of Incorporation is by a majority of the members of the corporation. That's 50% plus one of our entire membership, not just the people here tonight.
So you're telling me that you
Yes,
don't
I'm
stand by
telling
the
you that.
bylaws of your own system?
I
That's what
do-
you're telling me, that this
I-
is wrong.
Okay,
Uh,
so
Will-
let me, so what I've done this morning, based on discussions with many members, I've asked our legal counsel
Yeah.
to give us a legal opinion on what it would take to change the bylaws. So that the new board, because I'm a proponent of getting rid of prostitute, as some other things in the bylaws that need to be updated and changed. So when Mr. Dunaway has a chance, within the next 2 weeks, we hope to have that legal opinion on what it would take. I agree with you. I see it. I agree with you. And if the legal would tell me today we could do it, but I need his legal opinion to say it's correct. I've read the bylaws, I've read the Florida statute. I'm not necessarily in agreement that the Articles of Incorporation, that's why we hire legal counsel to do those decisions for us. So
Yeah.
hold that thought. Hopefully it's in the works, and then, once we have the legal opinion, then we'll be able to go from there.
This is why people are frustrated, is because
I-
the things that are written right here, you don't stand by.
I'm
That's why
not,
people are frustrated.
I'm not arguing with you. I would like to change them as well.
We're gonna suspend member forum until we announce the results of the election.
There you go. Will?
What is it?
I'm trying to find it too.
Oh, okay, here.
Okay,
All we have in here are the bylaws.
Ms. Carmen, I'm gonna save you for later because I have the results here ready. Thanks to the team of Ms. Kathy and hers. Sorry, so I will read this in order. of most. So, based on the openings, the top 2 vote getters are seated for 3-year terms. The third vote getter is seated for a 2-year term to make up for Mr. Kennedy's vacancy. Okay, so with the most votes at 313 votes is Mr. David Crumbly. He will serve a 3-year term. Second place with 282 votes is Mr. Michael Matthews. He will serve a 3-year term. In third place with 261 votes is Mr. Darrell Lynchard. He will serve a 2-year term. Mr. Mark Neville is with 236 votes. Mr. Keith Plorday is 216 votes. Mr. Maurice Rapole has 190 votes. Mr. James Dabney has 162 votes. And Ms. April Salazar had 159 votes. So congratulations to Mr. David Crumbly, Mr. Mike Matthews, and Mr. Darrell Lynchard. So now we welcome any statements from outgoing members. Mr. Dabney, any statements?
I would just like to say thank you for the time that I did get to serve. I'm sure I'll run again, and I appreciate everything that, and the support y'all gave me when I was here. Thank you.
So the next order of business before member forum is the board reorganization meeting. So I don't see David here, so I have it tentatively scheduled for January 20th, this Friday at 8 a.m. But before we go with that, if there's any,
Let's do it for 8 a.m. and then if we need to change it.
well,
we
right,
can-
so at least for Mr. Matthews and Mr., so Mike, if you can get with Emerald so you get this set up, and then we'll pass the word to David, so, okay? But that's tentatively scheduled for January, this Friday at 8 a.m. right here. Okay, member forum. Ms. Emerald or Ms. Carmen?
For clarification, Carmen Reynolds Navarre, on the proxy subject, I just wanted to clarify, when you talked about legitimized, when the canvassing board met to review the absentees and the proxies, did that mean that at that time, those members who had the proxies, had turned in the proxies, at what point are they verified to be members of Holly Navarre Water System?
Twice. Once when they're sent, they send an email, say, I live at 123 West Street. And then second, when it came in, and we opened them, and then the inside had to be signed. So we actually found some that weren't signed, and we had the member come and sign them. And that's when staff go ahead and validate that it's still a valid. And there was
Okay.
actually one after it was open that was disqualified. So that's why we ended up with 91 at the end of the day.
And those of us that came today had to show a picture ID. How does that apply to the proxies?
So if they came to the window, they would ask for, because obviously you don't know the service address, so they would ask for a driver's license to confirm that that was the right address, because obviously staff doesn't know everybody. But if they did it by email or phone, it actually was mailed to the service address, because that's where we expect the member to be. So then when it comes back in with all the address, that's where staff then validate that this is the right address and the names match up and that sort of thing. Is that
So,
what you're asking?
no picture ID on that one.
If it's
example.
mailed to the service address and it's mailed back in from that address with the signature of the members and the names all match, then no, ma'am.
But if that wasn't a mail transaction and it was a board of directors transaction who was holding all the proxies, how were the members identified as far as ID?
So the members were validated. If I gave my proxy to Joe Campbell, if I gave my proxy to Mark Miller, they validated that Joe Campbell was a member, right, and that I could give my proxy, and they validated that Mark Miller was a member, so he was authorized to vote, because you obviously couldn't give somebody else that's not a member your right to vote.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
I think, but there's no picture ID involved like it was for us in person today.
Right, because it goes to the we're mailing it to your address, and we're assuming that you at your address are gonna get it.
Right, okay, all right. Just a couple other things. Which employees will be occupants of the new building that you all are building? Is there a certain office that's moving in there?
There
The
is-
HR office, the IT office?
There's a whole reconfigure, Messi is moving, and there's a couple other moving, so it's kind of a whole restructure of there's a part of a conference room and a supply room and much-needed space.
Okay. Since this is not a personnel question, could you comment on what the stipend is for the CEO of Fairpoint? So that, I guess that's rotating. Typically, the CEO for Holly Navarre Water System previously was also the CEO for Fairpoint Regional Utility
Well, I can
System.
tell you, the last 5 months, it's been zero, because it's been me.
But
whatever-
you
there's
no
a
longer are the CEO. Is that a true statement?
Until the new
Of
board is-
Fairpoint?
No. Well, I'm the CEO of Holly Navarre Water is the executive director of Fairpoint because we run their well field for them. So the CEO, whoever's in the seat, is actually the executive director once Fairpoint appoints them. So they pay a percentage of the CEO's salary. Can we give a percentage?
What do you mean?
Percentage of the CEO's salary?
Yeah, I mean, it's in our contract that we've got, if you wanna tell them what
That
it is.
Fairpoint
It's not-
pays
15?
for not
Fairpoint,
just the
yeah.
CEO, but any employees of Holly Navarre Water System that do work for Fairpoint, their hours are tracked and billed to Fairpoint.
So I can tell you the CEO's salary, 15% of this person sitting in the CEO seat, 15% of that salary is paid by Fairpoint to do their executive director work, because he does the same thing for Fairpoint that the CEO does for here.
And it's not an
And then-
extra stipend.
Right, and so part of our wages also for the employees that run the Fairpoint Wellfield are reimbursed. So when you see our wage line, there's a portion of that we get reimbursed from Fairpoint. So it's not all Holly Navarre Water stuff in there, if that makes sense.
So, as an example, the previous CEO had a CEO salary from Holly Navarre Water System.
Correct?
And because he was also the executive director of Fairpoint, there was a 15% credit,
Reimbursement to Holly Navarre Water from Fairpoint. That is a true statement, yes.
but it wasn't added to his salary.
No.
It was
That's right.
just credited to
Correct.
the nonprofit.
Fairpoint writes Holly Navarre Water a wage bill reimbursement every single month for admin support, for IT support, for field support, any overtime. Yes, we're reimbursed for that.
So you're the executive director now of Fairpoint, so when I requested the minutes for Fairpoint, you couldn't respond. It had to be kicked to the Fairpoint board,
Correct.
where it's remained since December the 8th.
Correct.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
their
But they
legal-
don't meet in
Their
December.
legal counsel has it. They don't meet in December. Their
Okay.
legal counsel has it.
They
Alrighty.
meet next Tuesday at 3:30 at the Midway Water System.
I will be there, thank you.
And that's on the agenda to discuss that.
All right. Miss Patricia Hoag? Patricia, you still, I don't see Patricia. Frank Broussard? Hope Bush? Sorry, Paul, you're gonna have to wait.
Is it possible to, when you do like a November or December mailing of our water bills, to send everybody a ballot? Would that be feasible?
No, ma'am. That's what we got away from because that was being abused, where people were actually harvesting because people wouldn't use them and they throw them in the trash at the post office and people would go and harvest. And that's why there used to be 700, 800, 900 votes per person. So that's why we got away from that.
So you're not gonna ever?
I would not be a proponent of that, no, ma'am.
We want to make it as easy as possible for someone to request an absentee ballot, but we're not going to automatically mail them out to everybody. There's way too much abuse that could happen if we did that. And that's what was happening when we automatically mailed proxies.
But if someone requests an absentee ballot, you'll mail it?
We will.
Yep,
We'll mail it
right to
in
your
a
house, you can mail it back.
postage-paid, returned envelope. It couldn't be any easier.
And they can be a renter, or they can be a
They
property
have to have
owner?
a water
Account.
account in their name.
Account, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Cheryl and David Pace? Wes Seiler?
Yeah, I'll make it quick because you know how I feel already, but I will give you credit. It's come a long way, right? And I've talked to a few of you gentlemen about this. You've come from mailing them out to everybody, the proxies and things like that, to now a lot less. So that's fair. Let's figure out what it takes. Director Lyncher, let's figure out what it takes, let's get it legal. If it takes, 7,000 homes or whatever, fine, but let's work together to get this system better and get it transparent, get it clean, and make it look like what Ms. Tappy does up at the county, because that works already. So, thank you.
And Henry? Caroline Wells McLaughlin? Kathy Parnell? Diana Linscomb? Ms. Reynolds, you want to talk again? And Ms. Gano?
Debbie Gano, Navarre, and my street address is on the sign-up sheet. Mr. Thiel, I am here tonight to continue what I asked for last meeting. I'm curious as to whether or not you have your resignation ready for submission since you're not willing to do your job. As a result of you disconnecting your phone call into this meeting, not only did you not do your job, but you kept the others on this board that were here willing and ready to do their job from being able to do so. If you are elected into that position, we expect you to do what is expected. What is your responsibility?
Not to.
So the bottom line to it is, you disconnected on a phone call. You caused this board to no longer have a quorum. They were in the middle of a vote. And instead of you registering your vote, as you should have done, you disconnected and then, in the process, kept this board from being able to do what they were supposed to do, what they wanted to do. It was all a process of voting, and because you refused to do your job, I really believe you need to tender your resignation.
Thank you. Would you mind, I'd like to talk to you in private afterwards. I was gonna make a comment, but would you mind hanging around? I'd like to, a few words with you.
So would I, I'd like to.
No,
talk
no,
to-
no, Bill, please.
No, I will tell you that last meeting,
The reason I say that, Ms. Gano, is I saw how you were treated by some of this board. I was treated the same way, and I'm just confused by your reaction. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I'd like to have a private conversation, but that's fine.
you have treated me poorly when I've stood up
And
here
I
at this
apologize-
podium
And I
before.
apologize for that as well.
I have not heard a public apology from you yet. You
I
apologized to me
you
personally.
for that as well.
Yeah, but how about a public apology would be nice.
I am sorry if I've mistreated you in the past or hurt your feelings.
It wasn't a matter of hurting my feelings, it was a matter of doing something inappropriate.
Well, I went back and read the transcripts, and I actually didn't lead to anything else, but.
No.
but if
Bottom
you're
line
willing
to it
talk
is,
me in
the
private,
bottom
that's fine.
line to it is, we elect you members up here to represent us and to do what needs to be done at these meetings. If you're not willing to do your job, resign.
I will
Thank
let-
you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else want to address the board? Paul? No,
Please, come on up.
no.
Been fired from a lot bigger people than this. Just one quick.
Can you just give us your address for the record, Paul? 'cause
I'm
you're not on
sorry,
the list.
7092 Summit Drive,
Thank you.
DeVar, Florida, 32566, date of birth 2/23/65. Just a question I have is in regards to proxies. Proxies to me would be very personal. Somebody has given you my vote. I would think of you six guys standing up here to be very ethical about that. Rumor is somebody went to the water board employees asking them for proxies. Now, if I'm an employee and somebody is saying, hey, give me your vote, and I'm not a Holly Navarre water system employee, but I would maybe, if I was a young person, maybe a couple of kids, health insurance, feel a little threatened that, hey, you need to give me this vote. Did any of you guys do that?
I did not.
No, nope.
I did
I have
not.
heard that same rumor, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I'm just asking the question. Put it on record, please.
Thank you.
B as in boy, AC, ZEW, SK.
Anybody else want to address the board? Okay. Directors, any other comments?
Nope.
Oh, Ms. Tappy. And once again, thank you for your crew, awesome
welcome.
job.
Thank you, and I just want to say a huge thank you to both Emerald and Amber and their staff. They have been amazing to work with as always, so I appreciate them.
Don't
and-
steal them as poll workers.
But I do, I appreciate all of the assistance and stuff they've
And
given
thank you for
me.
your help.
and so-
We need to convince members, it's our election, you're just helping with it, so I appreciate the.
Correct, but the staff, we depend on them a lot, and they've done a great job, so thank you.
Thanks, see you next year. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? Anybody? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned.
Carefully respond to that.
I got time to